Welcome back to Mysterious Universe, the channel where we journey to the edges of human knowledge and dive headfirst into the unknown. Today, we're going somewhere few dare to venture. Beneath the frozen wastelands of Antarctica. For centuries, Antarctica has been a symbol of desolation, a lifeless, frozen desert at the bottom of the world. But new discoveries are shattering that perception. Scientists drilling through miles of ancient ice have found something extraordinary. Signs of life, thriving, hidden, completely cut off from the surface for millions of years. And it's not the kind of life we expected. It's strange. It's alien, not from another planet, but so bizarre it might as well be. Some experts are even daring to ask, could this be a glimpse into the kind of life that might exist on other worlds, beneath the ice of moons like Europa or Enceladus? Or is there something even more incredible happening right here on Earth, something buried? Something ancient, something waiting? If you love mysteries that blur the line between science and science fiction, you're in the right place. Subscribe now, hit the notification bell, and join the explorers asking the big questions no one else dares to ask. Because today's story isn't just about Antarctica. It's about the very limits of life itself. And by the end of this video, you might never look at our world, or the search for alien life, the same way again. Ready to dive beneath the ice? Let's begin. For decades, Antarctica was considered a barren wasteland. A frozen graveyard stretching over 5.5 million square miles, cold, lifeless, and silent. But scientists have long suspected there might be more hiding beneath the ice. In the late 20th century, satellite imaging revealed strange, hidden features deep below Antarctica's surface, vast, dark lakes, sealed beneath miles of ice. These weren't puddles. They were enormous bodies of liquid water, trapped under the crushing pressure of glaciers, warmed slightly by geothermal heat from Earth's core. The most famous? Lake Vostok, the size of Lake Ontario, buried under 2.5 miles of ice. For years, Lake Vostok was untouchable. The extreme cold, the isolated environment, the danger of contamination, it all kept human curiosity at bay. Until 2012. That year, after more than 2 decades of careful drilling, a Russian team finally reached the surface of Lake Vostok. And what they found shook the scientific world. The first samples retrieved were contaminated, mixed with drilling fluid, but even through the interference, preliminary analysis hinted at something extraordinary. Microbial life. Tiny organisms, completely isolated from the outside world for at least 15 million years, still alive. Some scientists were skeptical. They argued the samples were too contaminated. Others insisted the genetic sequences found in the samples were unlike anything currently catalogued, suggesting the presence of unknown, adapted lifeforms. Was this real? Could life not just survive, but thrive, in a realm without sunlight, oxygen, or surface nutrients? If so, it would change everything we knew about biology, and about where life could exist beyond Earth. The discovery ignited a global race. Scientists wanted more samples, cleaner samples. Not just from Lake Vostok, but from dozens of other subglacial lakes now known to exist across Antarctica. In 2018, a British team targeted Lake Mercer, another hidden world deep beneath the ice. What they found next would push the mystery even further into the unknown. In late 2018, the American research project known as SALSA, the Subglacial Antarctic Lakes Scientific Access Program, embarked on an ambitious mission to drill down nearly 1 mile through Antarctic ice and reach Lake Mercer, a massive subglacial lake undisturbed for tens of thousands of years. They faced brutal conditions. Temperatures plummeting to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds whipping at 80 miles per hour. Every hour of drilling was a fight against time, cold, and machine failure. But in December, after a grueling 63 hours of non-stop effort, their hot water drill broke through. Lake Mercer had been breached. A world that had been hidden for millennia now lay open before humanity's instruments. The team was cautious, painstakingly so. They had designed an ultra-clean drilling system, using sterile water, UV lights, and sealed collection chambers to prevent contamination. The first core samples came back under heavy guard. They contained ice, sediment, trapped gases. And then, under the microscope, something astonishing emerged. Cells, moving, dividing. Tiny life forms, alive and active, despite being buried beneath a mile of ice, in utter darkness, under crushing pressure. Scientists were electrified. Initial DNA sequencing showed that many of the microbes resembled known extremophiles, organisms that thrive in extreme environments on Earth, like deep-sea vents or Arctic permafrost. But others? They were different. They didn't match anything in existing genetic databases. Their cell membranes were unusually thick, as if armored against some unseen environmental force. Their metabolism didn't seem to rely on photosynthesis, or even traditional chemical processes involving oxygen. Instead, some appeared to use methane or sulfur compounds as energy sources, similar to life forms that cluster around hydrothermal vents at the bottom of Earth's oceans. But these microbes had adapted independently. Isolated, alone. Under ice that hadn't seen sunlight since before humans walked the Earth. To some researchers, this pointed to something remarkable. Life doesn't necessarily need a warm planet with open oceans and rich oxygen to exist. It can survive hidden, frozen, buried deep underground. And that raised a tantalizing question. If life could arise here, under Antarctica's crushing glaciers, why not beneath the ice shells of Jupiter's moon Europa, or Saturn's moon Enceladus? NASA scientists studying Europa's frozen crust were paying close attention. There, beneath a miles-thick sheet of ice, oceans likely churn against the moon's rocky core. Just like Antarctica's hidden lakes, Europa might have geothermal activity, chemical gradients, and isolated energy sources, perfect conditions for alien life. The microbes under Lake Mercer weren't aliens in the Hollywood sense. They weren't little green men or complex creatures. But they were alien in spirit. Beings evolved in total isolation, shaped by extreme forces we barely understand. They were a proof of concept that life could exist where we least expect it, even in the most desolate corners of the solar system. Back on Earth, as the SALSA team analyzed the samples further, they found something even more chilling. Tiny multicellular organisms, not just single-celled bacteria. Small worm-like creatures. Tentacled invertebrates. Fragments of what appeared to be ancient complex ecosystems. Were they modern survivors? Ancient relics frozen in time? Or something else entirely? Lifeforms whose ancestors may have witnessed entire ice ages come and go without ever surfacing to the world above. Speculation ran wild. Some scientists proposed that these creatures were remnants of an ancient Antarctic ecosystem, sealed off when the continent froze over 34 million years ago. Others suggested something more radical. That these life forms might not have originated from Antarctica's surface at all. Perhaps they came from below, from deep within Earth's crust, or arrived long ago from somewhere else, clinging to meteorites or cometary material. Could Antarctica's hidden lakes be repositories of panspermia, the theory that life travels through space on asteroids and comets, seeding worlds wherever it lands? It was a theory too provocative to dismiss, and too dangerous to embrace without solid proof. Scientists needed more data. More samples. More exploration. And that meant drilling deeper, into older lakes, isolated for even longer. But as they prepared for the next phase of exploration, a troubling discovery loomed. Seismic sensors around Antarctica began picking up unusual signals, strange tremors and vibrations deep within the ice. And some of them were coming from directly beneath the lakes. Something was moving under Antarctica. And no one could yet explain what. At first, the strange signals were easy to dismiss. Antarctica is not a quiet continent. The constant movement of glaciers, ice shelf collapses, and distant earthquakes regularly generate minor tremors. But in early 2019, a series of unusual seismic readings caught scientists' attention. Deep beneath the Whillans ice stream, an area close to Lake Mercer, seismic sensors picked up rhythmic vibrations. Pulses. Repeating at oddly regular intervals. They weren't typical icequakes, which are chaotic and unpredictable. These signals were structured, almost patterned, like the heartbeat of something massive buried under layers of ice. At first, researchers thought they might be linked to subglacial water movement, underground rivers pulsing as water flowed beneath the ice. But the patterns didn't match any known hydrological system. Even more unsettling, the vibrations appeared to shift locations over time, moving across miles of frozen landscape without an obvious cause. Could it be collapsing ice caverns? Subterranean volcanic activity? Or something else? A task force of geophysicists, glaciologists, and astrobiologists began analyzing the data. The findings were inconclusive, but they ruled out many mundane explanations. The tremors originated too deep. They moved too deliberately. Then came the second anomaly. A set of acoustic sensors designed to monitor under ice sounds picked up low-frequency, booming noises, deep, resonant sounds that traveled through the ice like echoes in a vast cathedral. Some recordings lasted minutes. Others stretched for hours. But all shared the same haunting quality. A slow, rhythmic pulse, almost like breathing. When the acoustic signatures were compared to geological activity, something incredible emerged. The booming sounds were strongest directly beneath certain subglacial lakes, including Lake Mercer. Was something living, something massive, shifting beneath the ice? Or was it merely the tortured breathing of the planet itself, the stress and strain of an ancient glacier moving against rock? The scientific community was divided. Conservative voices urged caution. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Others, however, pointed out something chilling. Similar acoustic patterns had been theorized for subsurface oceans on Europa and Enceladus, moons thought to harbor alien life. Could Antarctica be giving us a glimpse of what lies beneath those distant worlds? If microbial life could survive isolated in subglacial lakes, what about more complex organisms? Primitive worms, crustaceans, or even something entirely novel, something evolved over tens of millions of years in absolute darkness? And if something larger moved beneath Antarctica's ice, what would it look like? In the absence of hard proof, speculation flourished. The media seized on wild theories. Gigantic subglacial creatures. Ancient alien life frozen in time. Secret ecosystems thriving in hidden thermal vents. Even Hollywood got involved, reigniting public fascination with tales of buried spaceships and frozen monstrosities beneath the South Pole. Meanwhile, the real scientists kept working, methodically, carefully, pushing deeper. They installed more sensors, launched new drilling missions, and developed robots capable of penetrating miles of ice and exploring subglacial lakes firsthand. One such robotic probe, nicknamed IceFin, was designed to swim under the ice of Antarctica's Ross ice shelf. Equipped with sonar, chemical sensors, and sampling arms, it was humanity's best chance yet to directly observe the hidden world beneath. When IceFin finally descended into the icy abyss, it transmitted images that stunned everyone. Vast underwater caverns. Towering columns of ice, sculpted into impossible shapes. Dark, shifting currents swirling with organic material. And in some of the images, fleeting glimpses of movement. Tiny, darting specks. Clusters of strange, wriggling forms. Life. Not fossils. Not ancient relics. Living organisms, thriving in perpetual night, under crushing pressure, in water that should have been utterly sterile. The diversity astounded researchers. Some creatures resembled extremophile bacteria. Others looked like microscopic shrimp, adapting to a diet of chemosynthetic microbes. And then there were the structures, tubular formations, almost like coral, rising from the seafloor. Was this natural mineral formation? Or the byproduct of biological activity? Either way, the message was clear. Antarctica's hidden lakes weren't just isolated puddles of water. They were ecosystems. And if such ecosystems could exist beneath Earth's most extreme environments, the odds of life existing elsewhere, in similar icy realms beyond our planet, just skyrocketed. But one nagging question remained. Why were the seismic signals still growing stronger? And what, exactly, was causing the rhythmic, breathing sounds? Because while microbial life could explain the vibrant underwater scenes, it couldn't explain the deep, pulsing tremors echoing through the continent's buried heart. Something larger might be stirring. And whatever it was, it had remained hidden beneath the ice for millions of years. The rhythmic tremors beneath Antarctica refused to be ignored. Month after month, seismic readings showed the vibrations growing stronger. More structured. More intentional. Scientists intensified their efforts. New probes were designed, not just to sample, but to listen and track whatever forces stirred below. In early 2022, one of these autonomous sensors, buried deep beneath the Ross ice shelf, captured something chilling. A series of low-frequency sounds, unmistakably patterned. Not random. Not geological. Some pulses lasted exactly 43 seconds. Others precisely 86 seconds, doubling like a kind of mathematical progression. Even the spacing between pulses followed a repeating cycle. It was organized. Was this natural? Or was it a biological phenomenon? Some began to whisper the unthinkable. Were we recording the movements, or the communications, of a form of life evolved under conditions completely alien to the surface world? At the same time, IceFin returned more images. This time, deeper into a newly discovered lake, Lake Snow Eagle, a body of water larger than some American states. Hidden under nearly 2 miles of ice. The images showed something no one expected. Massive mats of microbial colonies, thriving in complete darkness. Tubular structures that rose like forests from the seafloor, built from minerals and biological material. And weaving between them, tiny, thread-like organisms, moving with deliberate, coordinated pulses. Some researchers suggested they were merely colonies of simple life, like vast mats of bacteria on Earth's ocean floors. But others weren't so sure. The formations were too orderly. The distribution of organisms was too even, too efficient. It was as if the entire ecosystem had evolved a kind of collective intelligence, an ability to respond to chemical gradients, to move nutrients, to adapt as one massive, living network. This wasn't individual survival. It was coordinated survival. An emergent behavior. A biological mind without a brain. A glimpse, perhaps, into how life might evolve in alien environments, not as solitary organisms, but as interconnected webs of existence, thinking and adapting together. The implications were staggering. If something like this could arise beneath Antarctica, where sunlight never penetrated and traditional food chains couldn't exist, then life beyond Earth, on icy moons or frozen exoplanets, might not look anything like us. It might not have arms or eyes or faces. It might be sprawling, decentralized, collective, an intelligence of the ice, of the dark, of the void. Back on the surface, debates raged. Some argued caution. Without more direct sampling, without genetic sequencing and long-term observation, we couldn't declare these findings proof of alien-like life. Others insisted we were looking at one of the most profound discoveries in human history, the realization that life doesn't just survive in impossible conditions. It thrives. It adapts. It invents itself anew when faced with environments we once believed were absolutely sterile. NASA, the European Space Agency, and even private companies like SpaceX turned their eyes toward the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Antarctica was no longer just Earth's last frontier. It had become a training ground for the future exploration of alien oceans. Lake Vostok, Lake Mercer, Lake Snow Eagle. They were laboratories for understanding what we might one day find beneath Europa's frozen surface, or within the subsurface seas of Enceladus. And the lessons were clear. Life doesn't ask for permission. Life finds a way. Even in the dark. Even under crushing pressure. Even buried beneath miles of ice. And so, the biggest question remained. If life arose twice, once in the open warmth of Earth's surface, and once again in the crushing, frozen dark, then maybe it has arisen 1,000 times more across the universe. Maybe alien life isn't the exception. Maybe it's the rule. Maybe, in the end, the real mystery isn't whether life exists elsewhere. Maybe the true mystery is how much life is already out there, quietly waiting for us to find it. And maybe, just maybe, Antarctica is whispering the first answers. Beneath the frozen heart of Antarctica, a whisper rises. A whisper of movement. A whisper of life. A whisper of possibilities far greater than we ever dared imagine. For so long, we looked to the stars, believing that alien life would be found light years away, on distant, unreachable worlds. But now, the first clues come not from distant planets, but from the silent lakes buried beneath our own feet. Hidden under miles of ancient ice, life has endured in darkness, without sunlight, without warmth, without the comforts we once thought were essential. It has not only survived, it has thrived. And in doing so, it sends us a message. Life is far more resilient, more adaptable, and more universal than we ever believed. It may not always take forms we recognize. It may not build cities, craft technologies, or gaze at the stars. But it exists. It endures. And where life can take root, it does. Antarctica's frozen lakes are not just a curiosity. They are mirrors, reflecting what might await us in the hidden oceans of Europa, the subsurface seas of Enceladus, the deep caverns of distant exoplanets. They are the beginning of a story still being written, a story that will stretch across the solar system, across galaxies, across time itself. And we, the explorers, are part of it. If we have the courage to listen. If we have the vision to search. If we have the wonder to believe. At Mysterious Universe, we believe that every discovery, no matter how small, brings us closer to understanding the vast, intricate, and beautiful web of life that connects us all. If today's journey sparked even a flicker of wonder in your heart, hit subscribe. Tap the notification bell to never miss another step into the unknown. And share this video with fellow explorers, because the more minds we inspire, the closer we get to uncovering the universe's deepest secrets. And now, we turn the question to you. If life can survive in the darkest, coldest corners of our world, where else might it be waiting for us? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theories. Because here at Mysterious Universe, the adventure never ends. The mysteries never run dry. And somewhere, beneath the ice, beneath the stars, beneath the limits of what we know, life is waiting. Thank you for watching. Keep wondering. Keep believing. And never stop looking beyond the horizon.